Now, there is no doubt about it without question that ever since the assassination of Charlie Kirk on September 10th, we have seen a wide range of actors, actresses, producers, writers, directors, talk show hosts, even comedians like Jimmy Kimmel, for example, really just taking advantage of the whole Charlie Kirk situation and politicizing it, using it as any kind of an opportunity to bring up MAGA, Trump supporters, or even Trump himself in whatever way that they can possible. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new, and like this video to see future updates. You could also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, by far, one of the worst programs out there to exist on live television is indeed the morning show known as The View, featuring hosts like Joy Behar, Whoopi Goldberg, Sunny Hostin, you name it. And for years, they have been going on the anti-Trump rhetoric, really just making their show into a political propaganda show. There's no doubt about that as well. But what actually went down over at ABC and The View in regards to the hosts like Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, and Whoopi Goldberg is quite a shocker. Now, we know one thing about the whole Charlie Kirk situation is that we are beginning to see the true colors of many of these celebrities, many of these talk show hosts that try to make themselves politicians when in reality they're nothing close to being a politician at that. But what's interesting though here has a lot more to do with what ABC is dealing with right now, and how it has a lot to do with what the hosts of The View recently did toward an audience that actually booed them off stage and actually created an uproar between, of course, The View's most recent episode behind the scenes. Now, what's interesting here is that with the Charlie Kirk assassination creating widespread emotions throughout the United States and the entire world, one major development going on now involves more to do with the hosts of The View getting in serious trouble with ABC execs and producers on the subject of Charlie Kirk. Now, a crucial update to this involves how in The View's most recent episode, during a commercial break, outrage erupted from the audience, and how that broke out from where The View hosts Sunny Hostin, Whoopi Goldberg, and Joy Behar were holding an off-air conversation about the division going on in the United States, and how Sunny Hostin presented and started commentary that the assassination of Charlie Kirk was a result of Trumpism in America, leading to many angry American citizens. Now, once this commentary was exchanged behind the scenes off-air of The View in the ABC studio in front of a live audience, shockingly, many of the audience members went against the coordinator's instructions and decided to boo The View's hosts off stage. The heckling came, of course, from the audience, and rightfully so, and was so intense that it left ABC producers to come on stage to pull the hosts off the table momentarily until the commercials came back on. Now, following this during the quick commercial break, coordinators and producers were forced to step in and to politely ask some of the hecklers to leave, where they were escorted by security afterwards. Once the hecklers were gone, this is when hosts like Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, and Sunny Hostin were guided back on stage by the ABC producers. This is when more hecklers were in the process of booing the hosts of The View after they essentially mocked the Charlie Kirk situation and politicized it. Those other audience members that booed the hosts of The View were also escorted out of the studio by security before ABC went back on the air for their most recent episode. This all explains why at one segment during The View's most recent episode, Sunny Hostin appeared frazzled and out of place, where ABC demanded the host to improvise and come up with new material instantaneously that was not related to Charlie Kirk or Trump for the time being. Hosts like Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, and Sunny Hostin reportedly were so scared from the audience booing them off stage that they lost their train of thought during some of the segments that were not related to Charlie Kirk. Now, ABC execs were reportedly in panic mode over the whole situation that took place on stage and behind the scenes at ABC, to the point that they are now coming up with new specific instructions to the audience members that join their show to not heckle the hosts on a political subject, or they will be escorted by security immediately. Now, guys, let me just stop here for one moment before I move on. Now, the thing about the whole View program under ABC, under Disney, is that they never learn. Whether it's on-air trouble or off-air trouble behind the scenes, regardless of the fact, they are so out of touch with reality. I guess they thought that their entire audience was going to be one catered political side, and in reality, it seems that you had a lot of people in there that were either Charlie Kirk supporters or people that just have common sense that this is not what you do a little over 2 weeks after someone was assassinated in broad daylight. and that's not what you do. You don't bring up Trumpism, you don't blame Trumpism, and all this other nonsense coming from Sunny Hostin, and how that was actually encouraged as well by Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar behind closed doors. And again, you know, when you look at The View as a show, as an actual program under ABC/Disney, this is exactly why the ratings are just stuck where they are right now, because they only have a little niche audience, right? And that is, of course, a lot of people that just overly love Disney, overly love how they're so one-sided and hypocritical when it comes to their overall views, and that's just how it's going to be. Their audience will never grow, their ratings will never actually grow or make a major spike, because that's where they're at right now. They have a very catered, specific audience type. But I guess, like I said before, they didn't expect any hecklers to actually do that during, of course, the commercial break when they were doing that off-air segment. Now, ABC producers, of course, were actually frazzled by this as well, and ABC was relieved to know that this only happened during a commercial break during the latest episode and not on the air, and they only had less than a minute to spare to get the hosts back in their seats to improvise new material off the cuff after the moments of outrage broke out from the audience. This also, get this, caused Joy Behar to hold arguments with some of the ABC executives after the show's episode on how she believes that they mishandled the entire situation. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I think that the only person here that mishandled this entire situation was Sunny Hostin bringing up Trumpism, bringing up, of course, blaming Trump and why there are so many angry American citizens today and how that's somehow connected to the whole Charlie Kirk situation. They always try to politicize it. They always try to come up with, you know, this or that and how it's connected to Trump. That's all they know how to do things on The View, whether it's on air or off air. And again, when you're looking at a show like this under ABC Disney, it's really not a shocker, because look at what they did with Jimmy Kimmel, right? They took him off air, they kept him off air for like, what, 4 days, give or take? Nexstar and Sinclair did the same, but they caved eventually and brought him back. At the end of the day, if they really wanted to, ABC, they could have deleted that segment by Jimmy Kimmel. They had more than enough time to get rid of that hours before it debuted. So ABC is just as guilty as Jimmy Kimmel was when it came to what he said on television and how he actually did disregard instructions from what he was supposed to say on that show, which is also a Disney-run program, mind you. In this case, alright, they weren't supposed to do any kind of off-air conversation about the whole Charlie Kirk situation, about anything to do with that, and they did. And that's exactly why in the most recent airing of The View, they really did seem confused, they really did seem a little bit exhausted there, and that really does work hand in hand here. And again, I mean, like I've said before in the past, when you're looking at someone like Sunny Hostin, I mean, just look at her husband and all the trouble that he got into before, you know, in the past. I'm sure that you guys know the whole story about the whole fraudulent stuff going on with him. That's another big subject that we'll have to touch on in the near future. But again, like I've said before, The View deserves to be canceled. It needs to be canceled eventually, hopefully within the next year or two. We'll have to wait and see exactly what happens with that. But overall, I would love to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.